So I guess I've come up here several times now. And so we're not going to start the program actually until 7 o'clock. But I think I would like at this point to say who I am. Because I don't know everybody. I think I know most people here. But I would like to introduce myself. I'm Roxanne Sewell. And I would like to welcome you all to our Black History Month. So, the people that we honor at these events, it's important for us as Black people to tell our story. It's incumbent upon us to recognize people that don't otherwise get recognized. It's important for us that we document our history in Top Magazine, which is founded by Luther Sewell, my husband, 27 years ago. That's a documentation of the history in Pittsburgh, Western Pennsylvania, and now we go across the street. Across the street. Well, I'm sorry, across the state. Forgive me. So, the people that you'll see tonight, the Black History Makers that we have, I don't think that our Harrisburg awardee would be able to make it tonight, but our Philadelphia awardee is here. Our Rochester awardee is here. Our Erie awardee is here. So this is our Black History event. It's not totally political, but with the season that we're in, we have to remember and be very pay close attention to what is happening and what we're getting ready to do. So we have a dynamite program ahead of us, but I just was asked if we could help with our entertainment. So we're going to move the program completely around. And so initially what we're going to do though is I'm going to invite Ms. Blair to say she is our mistress of ceremony this evening. Yes, let's give her a chance. She's the community outreach coordinator for Congressman Doyle, who spoke a little bit ago. She's a graduate of Carlow University with a bachelor's degree in political science. Yeah, she's a dynamite young lady. In her role as the neighborhood and community outreach coordinator for Congressman Doyle, she helps implement and administer effective outreach, aid to nonprofits and organizations in Pennsylvania's 18th congressional district. Above all, her mission is to help make Pittsburgh and its surrounding communities a more fruitful and welcoming place for those who live in it. Let's give a round of applause for Ms. Gerald Rousseau.
It is wonderful to see all of your beautiful faces tonight. Before we kick everything off, I would like to start with a quote from Harriet Tubman. And it says, "Every great dream starts with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, patience, and the passion to reach for the stars and to change the world." And I think that the people being awarded today and the presenters and every single person in every seat here, standing and sitting, has the ability to fulfill that dream that Harriet Tubman had for us. So next, we're going to do our Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice. If you all could stand from your seats. There are scripts, the lyrics are on your tables, if you all could share those. And Bridgette Perdue is going to lead us in the Black National Anthem. Good evening. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmony that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us far on the way, Thou who hast by Thy might led us into the light. Keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met Thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget Thee. Shadowed beneath Thy hand, may we forever stand. True to our God, true to our great land. Yes, that was beautiful. You all have good singing voices and good memories. I can never remember that second verse. So, next we're going to have the entertainment for the night, and it's going to be by the Legacy Arts Project Singing and Dance Ensemble. If everyone could get a round of applause for them. All these beautiful little girls outside. Come on up, girls.
drummers here, Anthony and Dante Mitchell. I'm Ebony Zanowa, and I'm the founder of the Nia Dance Ensemble. We work with the Legacy Arts Project, and we have tons of things. Please check us out. I want to know if you guys are interested in doing a little audience participation with us. We'll keep it very simple. The girls will help you out. All right, we're going to do a little bit of audience participation. Thank you guys for having us. Another round of applause. Yes.
She picking you, bro. Yeah. Come on, bro. You can do it.
All right, anybody else? One or two people. We're just going to do about 2 steps. That's it.
This guy right here doesn't do much in the front. Oh, you might want to unbutton that jacket now, bro. You might just want to take it off now. Take it off.
I blame you for that.
Let's give another round of applause and bring that out. And you see how their shirts say Nia? I was just told that Nia means purpose. And I think those young ladies were truly living in their purpose. My mother put me in an African dancing class when I was about 11 years old, but I didn't get very far because my ancestors didn't give me the gift of rhythm. That was a letdown, but she didn't get her money back either. So next, we are going to have our presentations. And first up, the first presenter we're going to have today is Blair Holmes Davis. She actually goes to my church, and I've been admiring her from afar for a while. I was really excited to meet her tonight. But Blair Holmes Davis is the Director of Community Relations for the Pittsburgh Steelers. In her role, she oversees spearheading the organization's community engagement initiatives and programs, the Social Justice Fund, and working collaboratively with each of the players on their community engagement projects throughout the season. Prior to joining the Pittsburgh Steelers, she was the Director of Advocacy and Community Outreach at Adagio Health. In her role, she was in charge of developing and implementing the organization's advocacy platform and working collaboratively with a variety of community stakeholders to create healthcare and education partnerships in communities throughout Western PA. Prior to joining Adagio Health, she served as the program manager at the Women and Girls Foundation, training over 200 high school girls to be the next generation of civic leaders through teaching politics, government, youth organizing, leadership development, and community engagement. Blair has presented at a variety of local and regional trainings and conferences on women's health care, the gender wage gap, women leadership, salary negotiation, and youth organizing. Blair graduated from California University of Pennsylvania in 2012 with a degree in communication. She currently serves on the boards of the Pennsylvania Black Caucus Foundation, Dress for Success Pittsburgh, Emerge Pennsylvania, Professional Women Work. Blair currently serves as a member of the Pennsylvania Democratic State Committee and was recently appointed to the Commission for Women by Governor Tom Wolf. I think that's all to say that she is overly, able to do this tonight. So, if you would all welcome up Blair.
Well, good evening, everyone. Happy Black History Month. For us, we are Black 365 days in the year, but for February, we're just extra Black this month. So, I'm truly happy to be here, full of just a room of Black joy and Black pride, and especially just to present 4 awards to amazing people across Western Pennsylvania who have done such amazing work. So with that being said, I'm excited to read our first bio, and his name is Fred O. Rush Jr. Fred O. Rush Jr. learned hard work and the meaning of community service from his father and mother. After high school, Fred attended Penn State University, but was interrupted by a draft notice as he became a sergeant in the U.S. Army and served with the 1st Cavalry Division in Southeast Asia. Returning to Erie, he completed his degree in sociology at Goudy University. After working several years with the PA Department of Welfare, Fred began working with Gannon College and Bayfront NATO. He also became full-time general assignment reporter for the Erie Morning News. In 1971, he became the assistant director of the Erie Model Cities program for 3 years and moved on to marketing representative for Xerox Corporation for a few years. His career spanned several years in several government positions, including affirmative action officer in county personnel and the first director of Erie County Human Relations Commission and special assistant to the mayor. After 4 years as Director of Human Resources at Goudy University, he worked for Governor Ridge as Director of Governor's Commission on African American Affairs. Eventually, he returned to the city of Erie as Coordinator of Community Initiatives. He has received numerous awards from several service agencies, veterans organizations, and governmental bodies. Fred's community service includes, but not limited to, Kappa Beta Lambda, Graduate Chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha, Erie Chapter, Martin Luther King Center, Greater Erie Community Action Committee, United Way of Erie County, American Legion Post 700, St. James AME Board of Stewards, and the NAACP Erie Chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do a warm welcome for Fred O. Rush.
I won't be as long as an introduction, tell you that. I come to Pittsburgh a lot. I was lucky enough to marry a girl from Mon Valley. Okay, me too. And every time she escapes, I bring her back. We have to do. And she told me on the way up, remember the 3 Ds. Be sincere, be brief, and be seated. I think you do all 3 of those. I had a couple real good patrons in this area. One was a guy named Kaylee Rivers. Famous special. And he taught me a couple of things. One was he had a session like this, and he asked everybody in the room to stand up. Can you stand up? Come on, let's try it. Stand up. Just stand up. And he asked everybody who's over 60 to sit down. Who's over 50 to sit down. Who's over 40 to sit down. Who's over 30 to sit down. Who's over 20 to sit down. Now, look around and see who's standing. Kay used to always say, if we're not training our youth, we're damning our future. Bring them with you. Let them see what we've seen tonight. Let them learn as we learn. Okay? I remember when I was a young man, sophomore in college, my father said, we're taking a bus down to Washington for a march on Washington. And I said, yeah. He said, well, I can't go next week. I'm working. You're off. I said, yeah. He said, I need you to represent family. I love to, Dad. I got a real heavy date next weekend. Then he said, son, I need you to go to Washington. I said, Dad, I told you I had a date. Then he said, boy, I have you on that bus. I was on that bus. It was interesting. Everybody was there, 250,000 people. One thing the pastor told us on the way into D.C., the sheriff of Washington, D.C. had said, arrive after 6 a.m. and be gone by 6:30. We forget Washington, D.C. is below the Mason-Dixon line. And you know what? We were out there by 6:30. It was the best dressed group I ever saw. We were clean. We had a good time. And we made history. Let's continue to do that. You've heard tonight about the census, you've heard about politics, you've heard about voting. Do it. And take some young people with you. Thank you.
All right, our next awardee for this evening is Ike and Lorraine Brown. Long before Isaac and Lorraine, affectionately known as Mom and Pop Kettle, opened Brown's Kitchen, they had a passion for cooking. Ike was a cook in the United States Army, and Lorraine was a cook at Riverside Nursing Home in McKeesport, PA. Brown's Kitchen was formed in 2004 when they started cooking at the original Bubba's Bar and Grill, incorporated in McKeesport, PA, and continued at Bubba's 2 when Bubba's moved to a new location in McKeesport in 2006. Their catering business began in 2008, which flourished into a thriving catering business in the Mon Valley. Ike and Lorraine retired from Mom and Pop's Kettle, Brown's Kitchen at Bubba's 2 Bar and Grill in 2015, which saddened their many faithful customers. However, they continued their catering business with the Political Action Committee, picnics, weddings, family reunions, graduations, birthday parties, funerals, and many more, serving the Mon Valley and beyond. Although they are semi-retired, they still cook for the Political Action Committee and the McKeesport Elks 218. They still enjoy cooking for family functions and various events and are still receiving calls for catering. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ike and Lorraine Brown.
I'm not good at this, but I'll do my best. But the first person I want to thank is Roxanne and her husband. tonight. And thank everyone for coming out for us. And the two people I really want to thank, it wouldn't have been Monpaul Kettle without my cousin, Margie and Frank Gregory from Monpaul, their brother's students. And the second person wouldn't be the caterer, and we wouldn't be standing up here tonight for Cliff Pitts. He put us under his wing, and we just flew on and just fed a whole lot of people that we love. And thank you all for coming out for us.
All right, and last but not least, Kofi Atiba Kwesi, Jesse O. Johnson Jr. Born Jesse O. Johnson Jr. in Philadelphia, PA on February 5th, 1960, he proclaimed his name to be Kofi Atiba Kwesi in 1989. Atiba is a father and grandfather. He has also spent much of his life incarcerated, where he educated himself and committed to advocating for those in need. After obtaining his certification as a paralegal, he fought to free himself and others while incarcerated in the New Jersey state prison system. Atiba, along with Elaine Slane and Abdullah Douglas, created an organization named And Justice for All. The organization led a successful 5-year legal battle against the New Jersey State Parole Board, culminating in Atiba receiving $50,000 and his release. Subsequently, a federal class action lawsuit was filed using the same legal complaint, helping 6,000 other men and women receive parole hearings, resulting in 1,500 being released. In addition, Atiba fought to help, Atiba fought to help incarcerated women keep their parental rights upon release and assisted those threatened by deportation. Since his release, he works with several grassroots organizations in Philadelphia to reduce violence and drugs. He was one of the first 4 outreach workers at Temple University's ceasefire program, once again on the front lines to serve our community. Atiba is presently co-chair of the West Philly Voting Bloc, working with community stakeholders and local politicians to uplift and create safe, healthy, and prosperous community. Notably, Atiba traveled to Ghana, Africa, and was acknowledged by the Asante Chief Tenancy Council as a member of the Abuseway family known as Breadfruit. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jesse O. Johnson Jr.
Good evening. First, I'd like to say my name is Kofi Atiba Kwesi. No problem. No problem. I didn't get a chance to speak to you before this. And I am a part of the Ashanti Nation here in Philadelphia. And I'm part of the Bridgette, which is one of the 8 chieftaincy families within the Ashanti Nation. I want to say thank you very much to Luther and Roxy. I can't even begin to tell y'all how great it feels to be standing here with people who have spent their lives doing such work as these ladies and gentlemen here. As my bio says, I spent more than half of my life incarcerated. While I was incarcerated, I went to school. I took every class I could take. I learned to do everything that I could possibly do I became a paralegal. I wanted to do something. I was told by one of the elders while I was incarcerated, if you want to do something different, you have to learn something different. And this is what I tell the brothers and sisters on the streets today. If you ever want to be able to do something different, you have to take the time to learn something. I turned 60 February 5th. And my wife is here, and without her, I don't know where I would be. She does everything from wake me up in the morning and guide me to dressing. And I'm learning that that's one of the best things in the life a man can have is a good wife. In closing, I want to say to Mayor Keith, as Roxy said, if you need people to come to Rochester, have Roxy call me. And Philadelphia will be there for you, brother. I guarantee you'll be there. We take a bus of 48 people every year to Harrisburg to support the African American Latino Roundtable. We'll bring 3 buses for you, okay? And just let us know. Thank you everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed yourself, and God bless.
Wow, what accomplished awardees and what Black excellence we have in the room today. Well, we still have 4 more, and 2 more to be introduced by Dr. Reuben Brock, who is a professor of psychology at California University of Pennsylvania. Nationally recognized scholar, Brock was the recipient of the prestigious Minority Fellowship through the American Psychological Association. Brock has spent the past 20-plus years working in the mental health field in Washington County, and he specializes in adolescent mental health and drug and alcohol work. Brock is also the host of the web show, House Call with Dr. Reuben Brock. If we can all give him a round of applause.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Real quick, when I first got here, I heard Roxanne talking about how important it is for us to document and tell our stories. And so I want to put on your radar that the team that does my show, House Call, has just begun production on a full-length documentary called Black Pittsburgh. We will be documenting the history, the culture, and the politics of the Black community in this area. And so I want to put it on your radar, and there are a lot of stories in this room. I'm younger than some of you. And so if there are stories that you think I need to know about, please pull my coat. I know how to learn, so if you need me to know something, grab me. Mayor Keith Jackson was raised and educated in Rochester, Pennsylvania. Through the years, he worked in the Laborers Union Local 833 as a supervisor at Shasta Steel, general foreman at Schuette's Associates, a PA state constable, and a chief of staff at Penn Pavilion. Additional accomplishments include Democratic chairperson in Rochester Borough, Democratic Executive Board, Vice President of Rochester Borough Library, Committee at Rochester Parks and Memorial and Foundation of Restoration, involvement in Cops for Kids, Being Better for Beaver County, and 2 terms as Rochester Borough Councilman. My understanding is he was the first ever African American mayor of Rochester, so please give a warm welcome to Mayor Keith Jackson.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My last 2 years have been kind of tough. I was thankful to have a mother and father that taught us how to make it through hard times. I try to tell a lot of people today about these kids. We have to focus on these kids out here today. Even if they're not your kids, you focus on them. I stop every day and see these kids walking up and down the streets. Some of them have mothers, some of them don't have mothers. Some of them's fathers are locked up. That's where we come in as mentors. I'm going to be a mentor regardless if it's my child or someone else's child. That individual needs help. We had our chance. We had our chance. Let these young kids have their chances. Someone mentioned earlier about how they're taking things away from the kids. They have no swimming pools. They have no playgrounds. You know, there's nothing for them to do. I have gone to school board meetings explaining to them the priorities that are wrong that they're doing. And they ask me, what do you mean? I said, you're good to label these kids out here for being bad. I said, but each and every one of us sitting in this room are responsible for the kids' reactions out here today. There's enough mentors in this room today. All we got to do is put it together. We could make something happen from this end to that end if we work together. The town that I'm from, there's a lot of whites there. But I'm okay with that. Every morning when I go in my office, I say a prayer. Psalms 91 every day. That's where I get my strength from. I read Proverbs every day. Today is the 21st. I read Proverbs the 21st. Before I make any decisions, I put all this stuff together to make sure when I make a decision, it's not just for this group and that group. It's for everyone in that community. Outside of our communities, a lot of people that knows me. I don't care if it's Beaver Falls, which is our next town, New Brighton. I don't care if it's Pittsburgh. I don't care if I'm in New York. If I see a child that I see that's in need or hurting, I stop and ask them, what's the problem? A lot of these kids don't have no one to come to them and discuss their problems with. They go to their friend's house, their neighbors, they allow their kids to do this, they allow their kids to do that. That's not the atmosphere that we want our kids in today. So hopefully, as all of us being mentors in here, that we can reach out, even if it's just one person that you can get to. That one person, once they see that person has changed their lives, I know where you're coming from. I've been there and done it myself. And can't nobody tell you you can't do something. Yes. You're the only one that can change you and make a name for yourself. If you want to change, you know how to hit your knees and ask God to forgive you for the things that you have done. Before I even ran for mayor, I'm not going to hold you up too long. I wasn't going to run for mayor. And I was in New York and something just kept dwelling at me and dwelling at me. I got up, I hit my knees, and I told God what my plans were. And I asked him for his permission to run. And the butterflies, goosebumps, whatever you want to call them, popped up on me, and I reached up and I said, thank you for my answer. When I came back from New York, on Facebook, I was on there for running for mayor. I never told nobody I was running for mayor. I know who did that. I'm in that seat because God put me there. And he put me there for a reason. And nobody is going to intimidate me or chase me away from God's word. For your time.
Dr. Andrew Kalley graduated from Trinity Area High School and received a bachelor's and master's degree in chemistry from Indiana University of Pennsylvania. He worked as a chemistry teacher in the Canon School District for 2 years and went on to receive a PhD from the University of Pittsburgh. With his PhD, Goudy went on to work as a chemistry professor at Westchester University of Pennsylvania for 24 years, was awarded the distinction of Professor Emeritus for his contribution to the university. Goudy then moved to Delaware and took a position as a professor and chair of the chemistry department at Delaware State University. While at Delaware State, he researched hydrogen storage materials. He and his students published numerous articles and obtained a U.S. patent for the discovery of a unique hydrogen storage material. He presented the research findings at international research conferences in countries such as Canada, Germany, Sweden, Poland, Japan, China, Russia, Iceland, and England. I'm tired just reading about all that. While at Delaware State University, Goudy also served as acting dean of the College of Mathematics, Natural Science, and Technology for a year. He recently retired from Delaware State and moved back to Washington, PA, where he grew up. Since retirement, Dr. Goudy has served as president of the NAACP's Washington branch for a year. Goudy's top priority as NAACP president this year is to help get people registered and out to the polls for the presidential election. Another priority is to help disadvantaged minority students in Washington County receive a good education. He is also serving as president of the Washington, PA Rotary Club. I want to say, I'm from Washington County. I live in Canonsburg, and Washington is my home, and I didn't know any of this about Dr. Goudy. Didn't know even that he was Dr. Goudy. And so I want to say, oftentimes we don't celebrate ourselves enough, our people enough, right? And so I want to personally say I'm honored to be able to give this award to Dr. Andrew Kalley.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Top Minority Action Group for inviting me to be here to receive this award. It's a great honor for me to be here among all of the prestigious recipients and so forth. And I'd like to thank Reuben Brock for his very kind words. Now, it's been about 40 years, and as he indicated, I worked as a teacher, a researcher, administrator, and by all accounts, I've had a very successful career. But back in 2017, I decided it was time to retire. So I did retire. I was down in Delaware, and so I decided to move back to my hometown in Washington, Pennsylvania. And I was surprised when I moved back there, my hometown, nobody remembered me. I was talking to everybody, and they're saying, "Who are you?" And I didn't like that, so I decided I had to get out in the community and reintroduce myself. So I went out and I joined the local church, and then I joined the NAACP, and I joined the Rotary Club. And it wasn't long after that I found myself being president of both organizations, which is what I had not planned, but that's the way it worked out. So I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I think my big goal is to try to make a difference. And as president of the NAACP, I felt I had done administrative positions before. I'd been a chairman and a dean and all of that, but I'm finding out that being president of the NAACP is actually the most challenging position that I've had yet. Getting out in the community and trying to help people with the problems, voter registration, people are apathetic, Some people don't realize that people before you have fought and died for this right to vote, and some people can't find time to do it. So I heard some of the earlier speakers talk about how important it was in this election, which is the most important election in my lifetime, I know. So I'm hoping that we in Washington, PA can help in the state of Pennsylvania. This is where it's all going to happen. So we got to step up to the plate and make sure that Pennsylvania goes the way it's supposed to go. So even though I'm retired, I'm going to keep fighting on, and I'm going to do as much as I can for as long as I can. So again, I'd like to thank you for honoring me with this award. I greatly appreciate it.
Wow, so amazing. There's so many cool and wonderful people in the room today. So our last presenter is Dara Brock. She is the Vice President and Accounting Manager at PNC Bank. Dara has spent the better part of her career working to enhance the working experiences of people of color. She has served as the President of the National Association of Black Accountants, as well as the Vice President of PNC's African American Employee Business Resource Group. Her efforts have won awards both nationally and locally in the diversity and inclusion space. She currently serves as the chairperson for the Finance, Diversity, and Inclusion Council at PNC. She resides in Canonsburg with her husband and their children, Reuben and Ella. Can we please welcome Dara Brock?
Good evening. Happy to see everybody. This has been a great night. I've learned a lot about some really great people. Thank you for Roxanne for including us in this event. It's always a top-notch event. We're very, very happy to be here. So the first person that I will present today is Miss Lorraine Cross. All right, Lorraine is the proud wife of Thomas M. Cross, mother of two lovely daughters, Rhodesia and Lorraine, as well as grandmother to Dwayne and Dia Moore. Lorraine was born and raised in Pittsburgh, graduating from Perry High and attended the Community College of Allegheny County. Her activism began when she was in high school, fighting and petitioning against injustices toward African American students. Lorraine continued her involvement in civil rights by joining the diversity and EEO programs at her job with the USPS. She has been employed with the USPS for 35 years and is the Step 2 designee for management. She was the chairperson for the Federal Executive Board African American Heritage Committee for 12 years. Currently the chair for the National Alliance of Postal and Federal Employees Management Division, District 5, which encompasses Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and coordinated diversity programs for Pittsburgh Network Distribution Center. Lorraine's fight for equal opportunities led her to become the Civic Engagement Coordinator for the Black Political Empowerment Project. Her goal is to help African Americans become empowered through voting. Lorraine has become involved in many other organizations: SSIC St. James Impact Center, the Alleghenies, Eastern Stars, and Langston Hughes Poetry Society. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Lorraine.
Wow. Thank you all. And first I want to give honor and praise to God and Jesus Christ, our risen Savior. I'd like to thank Roxanne and Luther for this honor and acknowledgement and for all the things that they've done in our communities for over 50 years. Thank you all. Also, I'd like to thank my husband, Thomas Cross, for allowing me to do so much in the community and to be away as much as I am. and my family for their continued support. Family. Also, my mother-in-law, Lorraine Cross. She's been an activist for over 60 years, so a lot of y'all know my mother-in-law. And also Tim Stevens, the chair for BPEP and my BPEP family. I want to thank you all for your continued support. I'm reminded of the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, who once said, "When the history books are written in the future generations, the historians will say, there lived a great people, a black people who injected new meaning and dignity into the veins of civilization." And I want to be able to help inject, dignity into our children, into our future. It's important that each, as it was said earlier, that each and every one of us must reach out and touch and mentor our future. See, because we're living in difficult times right now, and there's a disturbing trend. In recent years, there's been a resurgence of racism, rampant violence in our cities, and there's like hopelessness and despair in our children. So we as a society of people, we need to do things differently. We need to secure our future, and we must find a new way that unifies us and strengthens us as a people. So this month, the theme for African American History Month is African Americans and the Vote. As Civic Engagement Coordinator for BPAC, I'm involved in registering our community and protecting our communities through election protection. BPAC was founded in 1986, and the mission of BPAC is that African Americans vote in each and every election, not just the presidential, but each election, because each election is important, and the local elections are more important than anything. So we need to increase our vote to increase our voice. Because if our numbers don't increase, then they don't pay any attention to us. It's all about the numbers. And there's been new laws, as Brenda Tate has said earlier, there's new laws that's been put into place. And one of those new laws is that you can register people up to 15 days before the election. So they extended the time that we can get people registered to vote. So that's like April the 13th, and the primary election is April the 28th. Also, she mentioned the new mail-in ballots, okay, and that's the no excuse ballots. Now you don't need an excuse not to be absent from the poll. You can mail in that ballot and mail in the application to get a ballot to vote now. And that means if you're just not able to, if you're working, you know that you're not going to be available, you can get a mail-in ballot. So those are some things that are different, and also the new machines. So if you go to BPEP's website, there is a list of all the training that's going to be going on throughout the city for the Election Bureau. There's dates starting in March of where they're going to be training about the new voting machines. So a lot of the training is going to be done at the local Carnegie libraries. And so there's like 2 dates that they will be training in each community. You can also look on the website and see the video that shows you how to fill out the ballot. So now you have to fill out the ballot, okay, with a pencil and an oval. You have to make sure you stay within the lines and fill out the oval. There's no longer a straight ticket vote, okay? Yeah, so make sure you look at the ballot, okay? You have to look at the ballot. You can vote straight by going down each name and voting for that person, but you can't, there's no longer a shortcut. And so once you complete that ballot, then you put it into a scanner, and then that scanner scans your ballot, and it drops into a little cubby hole that's sealed. So there's some new changes that's coming about with the new voting machines, and it's not really anything to be too afraid about. But if you're a senior citizen, make sure you have your readers, make sure you have your glasses, because I don't know how big the writing's going to be, but just make sure that you're equipped when you go in to vote. Okay, and there's just one other thing that I wanted to say. If you notice, each candidate that's running, they all are making a statement about the black vote. Okay, so everybody's trying to get the black vote. But they tell us that our vote is not important. Okay, so if our vote is not important, why are they trying to get our vote? Because we are a massive voting people. Our vote matters. They know that we can change things in this country. So don't believe the hype. Get out and vote and let everybody know that our vote counts. Thank you, and I appreciate you all for the word, and God bless.
All right, we have one more honoree, and this honoree was unable to make it today, but we are still going to honor her for her accomplishments. Phyllis Bennett's passion is supporting initiatives that improve the quality of life for all. She is the CEO, president of PIV Associates Consulting, a marketing company for business and nonprofit organizations. Ms. Bennett's professional journey includes the position of Special Assistant to the Deputy Secretary, the PA Department of Public Welfare Office of Income Maintenance, as well as Chief Administrative Law Judge and Director Office of Hearing and Appeals. She has addressed the United Nations on the role of non-government organizations and the eradication of poverty in third world countries, as well as the Women's Federation for World Peace. She is distinguished by many awards and acknowledgments. Woman of the Year, Allie Atkins, Distinguished Woman of Color in the Judiciary American Bar Association, to name a few. These are a few of Ms. Bennett's current memberships: the 21st Century Speakers Bureau, the National Gospel Announcers Guild, Rejoice Adoption and Foster Care Agency, National Association of Professional Women, Pennsylvania Federation of Women, Association of Black Charities, NAACP, and the African American Chamber of Commerce. She also serves as the committeewoman for the 7th Ward, Florida Township. Ms. Bennett is a native of Pittsburgh and a resident of Harrisburg for over 20 years. She holds a master's in public administration from the University of Pittsburgh. Ms. Bennett is an active member of the Greater Zion Missionary Baptist Church, Harrisburg. In her leisure time, she plays the piano and is an avid reader. She has 1 son and 3 grandchildren. So we hope you're out there. Thank you very much for your accomplishments. Let's give a warm round of applause for Ms. Phyllis Bennett.
So we are wrapping up our program now. We're going to ask Mr. Luther Stoll to come up and give some closing remarks and to thank our patrons. Everyone can give him a round of applause.
I can't believe I started all this. 57 years ago, we started Talk Magazine, and today we have some 14 black mayors, and 2 of them are here today this evening. Would you please stand, Mayor Kofi, and also Mayor Jackson. We, in the year 2020, on April 10th and 11th, we'll have our statewide conference here in Pittsburgh. On be in Erie with a round table. On September, we will be in Reading, and on October 7th, we will be in Harrisburg. And during those months, we will have over 2,000 people that we touch bases with. You must understand that we are now in 31 counties with representatives from TMAG, out of the 67 in Pennsylvania. And Tess, I got to see you before you leave, because we got to get into the north. So, thank you for coming. I would like for, number one, we can't do this without you. Will all our patrons please stand? All patrons. Just stand up. Come on, I know it's more than that. Thank you. We are now trying to raise some $31,000 to get people to the polls. We don't mind you being registered. We don't mind you standing at the polls, but we want to get you to the polls. So help us, and God bless you, and thank our sponsors, you Gateway, UPMC, Housing Finance, Highmark, the Housing Finance is one. So thank you all, and God bless. And we hope to see you all next year. And don't forget, April 10th and 11th here in Pittsburgh. Thank you.
Because you're going to be doing the benediction after. We're going to have Elder Dale Snyder for the benediction. Actually, Pastor Terry's going to do it.
All right, let's get our hearts and minds together. Let's get our hearts and minds together. It's been a long day. Let's get our hearts and minds together. God has been good to us. He has brought people before us that we can stand and say, we have done great things. We are glad because God did it through them. And we have come forward, and we got so much more to go. So, Father, right now in the name of Jesus, we come before you thanking you that it is Black History Month, Negro Month. We thank you that we come from Negro land. And we thank you, Lord, that we are strong. We're survivors. And Lord God, you have done so much in us. And we ask you to continue to bless us. Let your anointing fall on us. Break off the yokes of poverty. Break off the yokes of despair. Break off the yokes of rejection. Break off the yokes of slavery. Oh God, break off the oppression. Break off the interfighting. Help us, Lord, to pull each other up. Pull each other in. Stand over one another. Get up underneath each other and carry the other person. Help us to do all that they did to get us to where we are. Bless our homes. Let us return here and be peaceful. Bless every honoree. Let them continue to do what they do and to grab others along the way. Bless Roxanne and Luther, Lord God. Continue to give them the mantle that they will continue to uplift your people. Send us home, cover us in the blood, that no weapon formed against us prosper. Take us to the polls, Lord God. Let us fill out the census form, Father God, and we'll give you all the glory and the praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Terry. So as they're taking their picture up in front, Mr. Tim Stevens is going to be coming around with information about BTEP's Jazz Fest. All right, you all have a wonderful night. Thank you to the Souls for allowing me to guide this event tonight.
Thank you. Okay, good.
Don't you dare say you don't know what
Yeah, I need to grab it. I'm sorry.
Brother Rush, I've got to go.